Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. My name's Jeremy. I'm 38. I'd been with my girlfriend Linda for 6 years. We lived together for most of that time. I own a 2-bedroom condo in Westwood. She worked from home doing freelance design work. I work in logistics. Life was steady, familiar. We were never the candlelit dinner every Friday type, but we were comfortable, or so I thought. About a month ago, I started noticing small things. Linda started taking more walks than usual, always alone. Her phone was suddenly on silent, flipped screen down. When I asked if something was up, she'd say, "I'm just tired, Jeremy. Can't I have a quiet evening?" It didn't feel like tired. It felt like distance. One morning, she came into the kitchen while I was making coffee. She didn't sit down, just stood near the sink like she didn't want to get too close. "Jeremy," she said, soft but clipped, "I need space." I looked up. "Space for what?" "I don't know. Just from everything. From us. From this." She gestured vaguely around the condo like the walls were closing in on her. I stayed quiet. She sighed. "I'm not leaving forever. I just need a break. I'm going to stay with Amber for a little while. Please don't call me. Don't text. I'll reach out when I'm ready." She said it like she was asking politely. But it wasn't a request. It was a decision she had already made. I nodded once. "Okay." She seemed surprised that I didn't fight it. Maybe she expected tears or begging. I gave her neither. She packed a single suitcase, grabbed her laptop, and left within an hour. No hug, no goodbye, just, "I'll text when I'm ready," and the door closed behind her. I stood in the middle of the kitchen thinking, what the hell just happened? 3 days went by. No word from Linda. I stuck to her request. No texts, no calls. I worked, came home, and ate dinner. The silence didn't feel like peace. It felt staged. On Friday night, I was flipping through my phone while reheating leftovers. One of Linda's old college friends, Marissa, had posted a group photo. It caught my eye because Linda was in it. It was a picture of 4 people in ski gear, taken at some lodge up in Lake Tahoe. Marissa had tagged everyone, so it showed up in my feed. There was Linda, smiling widely, and next to her was Michael, her ex. Michael. The guy she once told me was a mistake from a different life. Now he was right there beside her, his arm around her shoulders like he belonged there. I clicked through the rest of Marissa's uploads. There was a hot tub photo, Linda and Michael alone, drinks in hand. One of them was posing at the lodge fireplace. Another captioned, "Weekend escape with old flames and fresh powder." So Linda hadn't gone to stay with her cousin. She'd gone to ski and sip wine with her ex-boyfriend. She asked me for space and used it to revisit her past like I didn't exist. I stared at the photos for a long time, not angry, more like stunned. It wasn't just betrayal, it was strategy. She told me to back off so she could get a trial run with Michael without me interfering. I closed the app, put my phone down, sat in silence for a while. Then I got up, walked over to the front door, and stared at it like it was no longer hers. If she wanted space, she could have it. The next morning, I was at the hardware store, picked up a new deadbolt and a digital keypad lock. I wasn't being impulsive. I was being clear. Back at the condo, I changed the locks myself. It wasn't hard. When it was done, I tested the keypad twice. Her old key? Couldn't touch this lock. I didn't feel vindictive. I felt focused. After that, I logged into our joint bank account. We only used it for groceries and shared bills, but I'd been covering most of our expenses for years. Rent was never an issue. The condo was mine. I left enough money in the joint account to avoid drama, but I pulled my direct deposit, rerouted my paycheck to a separate account, and turned off her card access to my credit lines. Quiet moves. By early afternoon, the place was sealed, locks changed, finances untangled. I didn't touch any of her stuff. Her clothes were still in the closet, makeup still in the bathroom. I left it all. I wasn't throwing her out. I was just making it clear. She wasn't walking back into the same life she walked out of. She asked for space. I was just giving her exactly what she said she needed. She came back on a Thursday evening. I was on the couch, watching a game. I heard the soft jingle of keys, a few seconds of scraping at the lock. Then silence. More scraping. Faster this time. Then 3 sharp knocks. "Jeremy, why doesn't my key work?" I muted the TV and walked over. Opened the door just a few inches, chain still on. Linda stood there with a roller suitcase, backpack slung over one shoulder, cheeks slightly flushed from the cold, hair curled like she'd just stepped out of a magazine shoot. Her expression was confused, a little annoyed. "I changed the locks," I said flatly. She blinked. "You… what? Why would you do that?" "You asked for space. I gave it to you." "Jeremy," she said, voice sharp now, "I didn't mean cut me out of my home. Linda, this is my condo. It's never been yours." Her mouth dropped open. "Are you serious?" "Of course," I said calmly. "This is insane." She glanced down the hall, visibly flustered. "You're punishing me." I leaned against the doorframe. "You lied to me, said you were staying with Amber, took a ski trip with Michael instead. You asked me not to contact you while you figured things out, so I assumed you were figuring out life without me." Her voice dropped like she was trying to pivot. "It didn't mean anything, Jeremy. It was just confusing. I needed to see how I felt. And now you've seen." She stared at me for a moment, eyes narrowing. "So what now? You just threw me out?" "You threw yourself out when you walked away. I just locked the door behind you." I closed the door. She didn't knock again. The next day she came back with reinforcements. At exactly noon, another knock. This time louder. I opened the door just enough to see 3 people. Linda, her mother, Sylvia, and her cousin Amber, the same cousin she claimed to be staying with. Linda hung back, arms crossed. Sylvia stepped forward like she was the Attorney General. "Jeremy," she said, "we need to talk." "No, Sylvia, we really don't." "Oh yes, we do," she snapped. "You changed the locks on your girlfriend. You're treating her like some one-night stand." Amber chimed in quietly. "Linda's been really upset." I cut her off. "Amber, were you hosting Linda last week?" She paused, eyes flicking to Linda, then shook her head. "No, she just said she needed time, so I stayed out of it." "Right," I said, "because she was skiing in Tahoe with Michael." Sylvia stiffened. "What she does on her time is her business. Relationships have ups and downs. This is no reason to throw her out like a stray." She wanted space, so I gave it to her. Linda finally stepped forward. "This is ridiculous, Jeremy. I came back to talk, not to be treated like a criminal." "You didn't come back to talk. You came back expecting nothing had changed." She gestured toward the door. "My stuff's still inside. That means I still live here." "No, it means I haven't boxed it yet." Sylvia pointed a finger. "You are going to let her back inside, or we'll get the law involved." I nodded. "Then this is the part where I tell you her things will be ready tomorrow morning. Packed. At the door. She doesn't come in. She doesn't stay. That chapter's closed." Linda scoffed. "You're acting like this is all my fault." I looked at her, level. "You disappeared to test out your ex. You didn't text, didn't call. That was your choice. This is mine." I shut the door on them. They stood outside for another 10 minutes. I didn't open it again. The next few days were loud, just not at my door. It started with texts, first from unknown numbers, then from mutual friends. "Dude, what's going on with you and Linda? She's saying you locked her out? She said you blindsided her after a fight? Is that true?" I didn't respond to most of them. The few I did, I kept short. She asked for space, went on a ski trip with her ex, then came back like nothing happened. I secured my home and property. That's it. Some people understood. Others didn't want to. But I wasn't here to campaign. Let people believe what they want. I had facts. She had feelings. Then I got the heads up. A buddy of mine, Carlos, reached out. He wasn't particularly close to Linda, but his girlfriend used to work with her and still kept in touch. He told me Linda had been talking to a lawyer and was planning to sue me for throwing her out. I didn't take it seriously. Let her try, I thought. Still, I didn't wait. I called my own lawyer, Ben, same afternoon. I told him everything over the phone, then followed up with an email outlining the situation. I included a summary of Linda's request for space, which she told me face-to-face before disappearing. I also attached documentation showing that the condo had been purchased years before our relationship began and was solely in my name. There was no joint ownership. Legally, she had no claim to it. I wanted my position to be clear, organized. Ben reviewed everything I sent over and told me my position was strong. From his perspective, it was clear Linda didn't have a real case, just empty threats backed by emotion, not facts. He advised me to keep him updated if anything official came through. Sure enough, 5 days later, a letter arrived, not even certified, a law office I'd never heard of. The letter demanded $12,000 for financial contributions, emotional distress, and loss of housing access. I didn't even open it all the way, just scanned, sent it to Ben. He replied an hour later. Already drafted the response. We'll bury this quick. Linda had expected me to fold. Instead, she walked right into the part where I stopped being quiet. Ben's response letter was short, formal, and surgical. He attached everything: proof of ownership, documentation, even the screenshots of Linda with Michael, time-stamped. He also included a warning. Any further harassment, defamation, or frivolous legal threats would result in a counterclaim for damages and legal fees. 3 days of silence. Then one last text came from Linda's number, just a single sentence. "You really turned into someone I don't recognize." I didn't reply. I blocked her. I didn't hear from her lawyer again either. Ben said he likely told her she had no case, and that stirring up more trouble could backfire. That was the last of it from her directly. But stories trickled in. Carlos told me Michael bailed the week after they got back. Vacation romance that doesn't survive real life. Word is, Linda tried moving in with Amber, who politely declined. She ended up back at her mom's place 2 towns over. Apparently, Linda's been telling anyone who will listen that I destroyed her stability, conveniently skipping the part where she created the chaos herself. The comfortable lifestyle she had with me didn't follow her out the door. She tried pressing every button: guilt, pressure, legal threats, public pity. None of it worked. All I did was take her word. She said she needed space, so I gave her all the space she could ever want. It's been about 2 months since I shut the door on Linda. The condo feels different now, lighter. I repainted the hallway, sold the coffee table, she said, completed the room. It's not just about redecorating, it's about reclaiming space. I started going out more, drinks with coworkers, picked up cycling again, not to run from anything, just to fill the space she left behind with something real. The peace isn't loud, it's not dramatic, it's just steady. Quiet mornings, no tension in the kitchen, no waiting for someone to say what they really mean. She wanted clarity. She got it. She thought she could hit pause on our relationship, run off to explore unfinished business, and slide back in like nothing happened. She gambled on my loyalty, thinking I'd wait. She was wrong. The satisfaction didn't come from blocking her or from watching her plans fall apart. It came from realizing I didn't need to scream, beg, or rage. I just needed to let the facts speak. She chose to leave. I chose to accept it, faster than she expected. What burned her the most was the fact that I didn't break. The last box of her stuff sat in my closet for weeks. She never came back for it. One afternoon, I donated it. Felt like deleting a file I'd been saving out of habit. There's a finality to silence. She hasn't reached out again. I don't expect her to. Sometimes I catch myself looking at the front door out of instinct, but no one's coming through it unless I invite them. Linda wanted space. I gave her miles of it, and I never lost a single step in the process. Thank you for watching.